community nurse, I wanted to start a movement which would make the healthcare and elderly care in Holland better. We have a lot of bureaucracy and a lot of bureaucracy which is disturbing good solutions. So that's the reason that I called it humanity above bureaucracy. If you look at what Buurtzorg is at the moment, we can say it's a new organizational and a new delivery model. I started in 2007 with 4 nurses, with the 3 colleagues, just in one team, trying to go back to the principles of the World Health Organization on community-based integrated care, which I think is a very good model. At the moment, we have 9,000 nurses in 800 independent teams working all over the country. What's very special is that we have only 45 staff people in the head office. And we have 15 coaches, so we don't have management. And we are serving 70,000 patients a year. We have a turnover of 280 million euro per year, and we have just 6 people at the financial administration, and we don't have a CFO. So if you keep things very simple, then you don't need so many people to control all these things.
Some companies talk about work-life separation or work-life balance, and for us, our approach is really to focus on work-life integration, because at the end of the day, it's just life.
The Zappos culture is unlike anything else I've ever seen. We joke that it's happier than Disney.
It's like a family, it's like this big family, and we're happy to see each other. We come to work, we enjoy it, and we have fun here.
Company culture is our main business strategy. It's the #1 priority of the company.
I think that we've always felt that competitors could copy our selection, they can copy our shipping, but one thing that could never be copied was our company culture.
From the very
Yeah, it's a big risk, yeah, but there's huge reward. You know, the opportunity to become a more innovative, more agile company, one that doesn't suffer from the problems of bureaucracy and politics and is more open to change it's a risk that we're willing to take. It is radical, the idea that you should self-organize. There are a lot of things that we don't have the answer to. We are working on big puzzles like compensation and progression. Again, we feel hopeful that we'll be able to figure it out, but you know, we still have yet to see how the story unfolds.
How do we find people? We'd go out and try and recruit people, and we'd say, look, when you come to us, we're not going to have 2 or 3 interviews, and then you're going to be married to us for life. That's not how we do the rest of our life. So, come, have your interviews. Anyone who's interested in interviewing you will show up. And then we'll see what happens out of the intuition that rises from that, instead of just filling out the little items of whether you're the right person. And then come back. Spend an afternoon, spend a whole day, talk to anybody you want. Make sure we are the bride you thought we were, and not all the bullshit we put into our own ads. Why can't people set their own salaries? What do they need to know? There's only 3 things you need to know. How much people make inside the company, how much people make in somewhere else in a similar business, and how much we make in general to see whether we can afford it. So let's give people these 3 pieces of information. So we started having in the cafeteria a computer where you could go in and you could ask what someone spent, how much someone makes, what they make in benefits, what the company makes, what the margins are, and so forth. And this is 25 years ago. As this information started coming to people, we said things like, we don't want to see your expense report. We don't want to know how much holidays you're taking. We don't want to know where you work. We had, at one point, 14 different offices around town, and we'd say, go to the one that's closest to your house, to the customer you're going to visit today. Don't tell us where you are. And more. Even when we had thousands of people, 5,000 people, we had 2 people in the HR department, and thankfully one of them has retired. And so,
Charlie Kim, who's the CEO of a company called NextJump in New York City, a tech company, he makes the point that if you had hard times in your family, would you ever consider laying off one of your children? We would never do it. Then why do we consider laying off people inside our organization? Charlie implemented a policy of lifetime employment. If you get a job at NextJump, you cannot get fired for performance issues. In fact, if you have issues, they will coach you and they will give you support, just like we would with one of our children who happens to come home with a C from school.
Self-management is, at a very, very high level, exactly the way you live when you go home from work. We just ask you to keep that hat on when you come to work at Morningstar. So who's the boss? I think in a traditional organization, there's kind of a very rigid interpretation of who the boss is.
We have no bosses here at Morningstar.
I have no boss. So, well, everybody's basically a boss.
When you come on board at Morningstar, you and the colleagues around you are expected to kind of take a time out, sit down, examine yourself, your competencies, your what you have to bring to the table, the things you're trying to achieve in your career and in your life, and to organize your work accordingly. And as long as you are achieving your mission and the enterprise is achieving their mission, there really aren't a whole lot of boundaries around how that works.
And what you're doing is you're working with other business units. You know, I may want to get something done on the operations side. So what I have to do is, not because I'm the so-called head of quality or whatever your job title would supposedly be, you need to go and you need to negotiate with another business unit. Maybe it's the evaporation guys, and we need to negotiate, but at the end of the day, it's what's best for the company.
We don't have a structured hiring process.
Here at Morningstar, as a group, as a family, we're involved and we make those decisions together.
You hire the right people, you get the right person in the job, you don't need to micromanage them. There is no micromanaging here, and it's really a breath of fresh air, to be honest with you.
The things that quash people are overwhelming bureaucracy and red tape, inability to do the things that you know beyond a shadow of a doubt are the things that need to be done.
I think the people on the floor are probably the best ones to make the decisions, you know. We see it run, we've done the maintenance on it, we know more about it than anybody.
Kind of fundamental to our way of doing things is that the person with the most insight, the most knowledge, should be the person making the decision, period, end of story.
Knowledge is what gets you respect here, not a job title.
We've pushed the fundamentals of management out to everyone in the enterprise. We've also pushed the fundamentals of creativity and innovation out to everyone in the enterprise. Very explicit about the fact that the most important thing within an organization is improvement.
The best thing for me working here at Morningstar is I'm constantly learning, constantly growing, constantly being exposed to things I normally wouldn't be exposed to.
I think I've improved our dice area a lot the last 3 years.
I started with other colleagues' help, a full document control program.
We added a product hopper to one of our lines, so we increased the line speed from 80 cans a minute to about 150 cans a minute.
I think most human beings have some internal drive that they want to do good things that create some sort of benefit for people.
It's very